Today is a day all about giving thanks, and in the past year of professional wrestling, there's definitely a lot to be thankful for, which is the topic of this episode, because today... A quick shout out to all of my awesome Patreon supporters such as Baba Yaga, Jeremy P, and Jeff Ang. Thank you so much for the support, it really does mean a lot. Yes, believe it or not, as I said, this year there was a lot in professional wrestling to be thankful for. And I did come up with a list of 10 things that I think are absolutely great and I want to show my appreciation for. And while we're at it, if you want to show your appreciation for this channel, please give this video a like and make sure that you're subscribed to this channel. Anyway, with that being said, let's get into the list. Starting us off, we're gonna go with the royal treatment, as in the King of the Ring. And even though it's not a full-fledged pay-per-view anymore like it used to be, it's still back, which is a very good thing. What can I say? I just absolutely love the King of the Ring, and as much as I wish it was a full-fledged pay-per-view yet again, well, I'll take what I can get. And this year, not only did we get a King of the Ring, but we also got a Queen's Crown tournament as well. And furthermore, I just have to say that I was completely overjoyed that Xavier Woods is the one to be crowned king, considering that he said it was always his dream to win the tournament. And so, with the return of the King of the Ring and Xavier Woods being the one to win it, well, how could you not be thankful for that? Ever since she left for her maternity leave, it felt like an eternity since we had Becky Lynch on our TV screens. So when she came back naturally, I was completely ecstatic. For me, I feel that the women's division has sorely been lacking ever since the man Becky Lynch has been missing. And look, she had to do the mom thing and that's totally understandable, but nevertheless, I'm just really happy that she's back. Especially after seeing her amazing match with Charlotte Flair at Survivor Series, which as far as I'm concerned, should have been the main event. And I was there live to see it, and I have to say that match alone was worth the price of admission. While we normally talk about wrestling TV, guess what? There's also this thing called the books out there. Following Mick Foley's autobiography, Have a Nice Day, there was a period of time where it felt like every single wrestler on the planet came out with a book. However, those days were a long time ago, and lately it feels like some inside perspective of the business being put on paper really seems to be something that we need. I mean, there's only so much we can get at a podcast, which is why it's so great that Jon Moxley came out with his own autobiography entitled Mox. And this is not to say that other wrestlers haven't been coming out with books of their own, it's just that Mox feels like a return to form of the good old days that Mick Foley first brought in. And also, I have to say that Jon Moxley is probably the right guy to bring this trend back, as he has always come across as a straightforward and honest guy, and one who definitely has a lot to say that people want to hear. And also, on a more serious note, I'm glad that Jon Moxley is getting the help that he needs. When it comes to Kenny Omega and the Belt Collector storyline, it seemed like it was something that the fans had been asking for forever before it finally happened. While he may not have picked up every single piece of hardware out there in the wrestling world, I am definitely glad to see Kenny Omega draped with gold. This was a really fun storyline coming out of AEW, and it also worked to get me interested in Impact Wrestling yet again, which I never thought would happen. So while Omega's reign with the AEW title did happen at the end of 2020, his reign as the Belt Collector happened in 2021. The journey was definitely worth watching, and in my opinion, it was a great way to celebrate the guy who I felt always should have been the first AEW champ to begin with. But hey, I say better late than never. Oh, and while I'm talking about people that I thought should have been the first champ in AEW, now, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, is definitely the wrestler that I thought should have been the first ever AEW Women's Champion. And just like with Kenny Omega, even though she wasn't the first, at least I got to see it happen, and I saw it in 2021. But not only did I get to see Britt Baker finally get the gold that she's always deserved, but on top of that, I have to say that I think she's also improved the AEW Women's division as a whole. And while I will admit that the division still isn't perfect, it's still come a long way, and Britt Baker is a major reason as to why, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Daniel Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to call him, he had an amazingly interesting year in 2021. Not only did he main event a WrestleMania, but he also got to make one of the best debuts in AEW history. And since then, he's been doing a great job of keeping things fresh by not ending matches in the same way and also having a pretty surprising heel turn. Bryan has definitely kept me guessing during his time in AEW and also on his way out of WWE, so this whole year, hey, gotta be thankful for everything that he's done. Okay, so far you probably noticed that this list is pretty AEW heavy, and I'm definitely not done yet. But nevertheless, I gotta say, overall, I'm just thankful for AEW and that it's been getting a lot better. WWE has really gone unopposed for way too long, and even though there were other companies like Ring of Honor and Impact, they weren't capable of really putting the squeeze on WWE like they should have. And yes, I am a complete realist. I understand that AEW still isn't capable of that either, as they're not competing head-to-head on television, nor have they been able to beat Raw or SmackDown, even though the dirt sheets really try to make it seem like they have. My point is that AEW set out to have the goal of really being an alternative to WWE, and finally this year it feels like they really are. And having more choices in wrestling is good. It's good for wrestlers, it's good for fans, and it's good for the industry overall. So, even if you're still not an AEW fan yet, or even if you still feel like they have a lot of room left to grow, the point of the matter is that they are improving, they are getting better, and that is something to be thankful for. Big E has always been a tremendous talent, one that I've expected a lot of good things for, and I'm glad to see, finally, this year, I've been getting it. For anyone who remembers 5-count Big E Langston with the NXT Championship, they know that he was always meant to be a top champion. And even though I definitely liked everything that the New Day did for the tag division, seeing Big E with WWE's top prize is something that is long overdue. And let's also remember that at the beginning of this year, Big E started off as Intercontinental Champion, so that's two good things. Now, of course, one of the things I'm absolutely most thankful for this year when it comes to professional wrestling is the return of live fans. After going a full year without seeing a full capacity crowd in attendance, it was one of the best sights to possibly see having a full crowd for WrestleMania. And of course, also seeing live fans in attendance again for AEW. As valiant of an effort as it was, the Thunderdome can only go so far, and I also wasn't going for all those plants that both companies were sprinkling into the crowd. There is just no substitute for real, raw, live wrestling fans being in attendance. And even if you haven't been to a live show yourself this year, I think you can say that watching wrestling on TV has definitely gotten better. After all, there's only so much fake crowd noises and awkward sneaker squeaks and grunts I can possibly listen to. This alone is easily one of the best things to happen to professional wrestling in 2021. Although, there is one thing for me that I have to say is better. And of course, the thing in 2021 in professional wrestling that I am the most thankful for is the return of CM Punk. After 7 long years of really thinking that I was never going to see him in the ring ever again, finally we got the return of the man that brought me back to professional wrestling 10 years ago. When it comes to professional wrestling, CM Punk is always going to have a special place with me, as his pipe bomb promo really was a wake-up call, as it touched upon so many things that had been frustrating me with WWE. And now, a decade later, he did it yet again. But to be clear, Punk's return is a lot more than just one promo, even though when he picked up the mic for his AEW debut, that was a piece of pure perfection. But putting that aside, in my opinion, AEW has gotten better, as I mentioned earlier, but that has only happened ever since Punk got to the company. And of course, I'm also extremely thankful for his program with MJF right now, as that is a thing of beauty. Well, there you go. 10 things in professional wrestling that I am thankful for. What are some things that you're thankful for in pro wrestling? Let me know down in the comments. And also, I would be super thankful if you could make sure that you're subscribed to this channel and that you give this video a big like. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, Dave knows.